eating snacks.
What's going on, everybody? We are back with another episode of Spoiler Boys.
Spoiler Boys!
Yes, we are here to continue our discussion of Andor with episode 11, The Daughters of Ferrix. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Y'all know where we like to start. Jokes. What's your grade for this episode?
I'm at a 7.
Okay. What about you, Gage?
8.
Okay. I think I'm sitting at a 7. I could be pushed to an 8. But that's where I sit as of right now. So let's just go ahead and start at the top. Andor's escaped. After last episode, he is trying to find a way off this planet. Him and what's the guy's name? Melshi, I believe. Trying to find a way off the planet. They're climbing mountains, just trying to keep moving, stay ahead of the Empire. We then go back down to his home planet, and we have found out that Marva has passed. Fortunately, Andor wasn't there to make it in time, so the Daughters of Ferrix are preparing her body, getting things ready. You see people helping around the house to just kind of put things in order. You see the droid is interesting, like the droid is having like emotional issues, like tied to it, trying to deal with it. How did y'all think about how this all opened up?
Obviously showing Andor escape. Like, even though he's escaped, like they're still kind of hiding a little bit. Like there's like the ship that's like, I don't know if it was specifically looking for them or not, or if it was just roaming the area, and obviously they just didn't want to be seen. Obviously for obvious reasons, of course. Still in prison gear, no shoes, so just they weren't inconspicuous at all. I didn't think we would see Marva die. Like, I thought maybe they would get Andor would at least get that one last time to maybe have a conversation with her. So, it was a little hard just to know. But I mean, that kind of cuts Andor's ties to really need to go back to the planet, which honestly in his benefit would work better because they already have been scoping it out, waiting for him to come back. But since we know now, though, we'll get a funeral. I know we're going to talk about that. There's going to be a funeral. So there's still that chance that he's going to still come back to the planet.
Okay, what about you, Gage?
I mean, as far as openings go, I think this is probably one of the cleanest ones they've had for this entire season. I mean, it relatively quickly goes through where everybody is, what everybody's doing, what's going on, and ties it all together for you. Like, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. So, I think it's a clean open.
I agree with you, Jokes. I didn't see Marva dying so quickly. I mean, we knew she was sick, but I did think that hopefully they would get a chance to say something before then. So, taking this angle with it, I thought it was interesting. Like you said, he really doesn't have a reason to go back now. So, unless he wants to just attend the funeral. So, we'll see how that unfolds as things keep going along. We also see Cinta and the Empire kind of just keeping an eye on Marva's place. They're making sure they're covering that, reestablishing that they're constantly being watched. Of course, Cinta and the Empire don't know that the others, are there. It's just showing that eyes are, constantly on them, waiting for Andor to show up. We see Deidre get the news that Marva's passed. She's a little pissed off, hoping that she was going to be able to catch Andor, but decides to flip it to, let's use this to our advantage. Let's put some things in place because he's going to come back to the funeral, to see his mother. So I thought that was a...
gave you the impression she was pissed off about it. I didn't get that impression from her.
Just her instant reaction to find out, like she was blown, like, I want him to come back. Like, she was trying to set a trap for him, but this just threw a monkey wrench in the trap and she had to pivot it. That's what I mean by that. She's setting up this trap for him to come back to hopefully catch him at the funeral. Decrease the troops a little bit. Let's keep vigilant. Let's keep our eyes on. Let's force them into this. Let's shut down certain roads so we can kind of pinhole and force everybody right to where we want them to set this trap. So she's moving on here with that. Then we head back to Andor, and they have found some aliens, and they're trying to figure out, okay, is there how many of them are there? Oh, I see they got a ship right there. We got to come up with a plan. And our guy Melshi decides to beeline straight for. Did y'all think they were gonna beeline them like that, or actually try to come up with a plan to get the ship or do what they need to do?
After the breakout and trying to do things relatively quick because you may not get another opportunity, I guess they were kind of maybe still in that mindset. It was like, hey, listen, that ship's dead. They ain't paying attention. Let's just do this now and just get that ship.
That clearly wasn't the plan. Like, Andor wanted to make a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Melshi was like, I'm out. He just bounced on him. Like, it wasn't even like he just bounced on him. They didn't talk about it. He was like, I mean, they said it. He's like, yo, by the time they see us, they ain't gonna be able to get to it. They won't be able to beat us to the ship. Now, I don't know how they thought they was gonna get in the ship, get the joint started. Like, I don't know what Slim thought
because
they was gonna do, but he was like,
think you could pilot this joint? He's like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What I know is that Slim, he said, do we have a choice? And Melshi just bounced. Like, all right, that's all I need to hear.
He didn't even try to get closer, like sneak around and get a little closer.
Which is what I thought he was getting up to do at first, and like, yeah. I thought he was at least gonna be like, all right, well, let's go. He didn't even say, come on, let's go. He just bounced, like, you know what I mean? And was like, hold up, like, what are you doing? He's like, man, they not going, they can't beat us there. He said, what if somebody else on the ship?
We'll figure it out when we get there.
I know when we get there. Yeah, like this is, look, we don't have any idea what Melshi's criminal background is. Like, we don't know what Slim used to do. We don't know how raw he gets.
He may be the real thing. He may be the real
thing. He might be the realest one out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know. We don't know nothing about him. So we just know they made it. That's it.
Yeah, they made it down there. Right. Yeah. That was the longest distance, I swear, to cover. Like, bruh, this okay. Good luck to you trying to make this closest distance between them before, they see you coming. And
they can't see us.
Right at y'all.
By the time they do, we're going to be too close.
No, you weren't.
Everybody ain't even try to move. That was hilarious.
That was just looked up.
They ain't even try to move.
No, like this has happened before. Like clearly somebody's like, oh, here we go again.
They didn't look scared or worried or nothing. They just watched them like, okay, come on, get closer. And sure enough, they set a trap and got snatched up, and get the begging for their life. As we'll just try to close out this scene as they're in this gooey net trying to plead, like, please don't take us back to Empire. And it's almost like the aliens are kind of poking with them, teasing them. But yeah, we should kill you and this and the third, and kind of end up being like, y'all don't like the Empire, like we don't. Yeah, we can pretty much get you around to where you need to go. Say where you want to go. Andor tells them, and they end up heading off back to the planet that he got picked up from.
I mean, they basically it's kind of a brief nod to the idea of people being on board with rebellion, because they spend that amount of time out there in the net talking about how they're angry that the Empire coming to their home and building their prison has ruined their water. That the water now is filthy. We can't catch nothing. We can't, whatever. So really, they mess around with them, but they're really stating, we don't bang with the Empire because the Empire came here, took our resources. Like, this is what we used to do. And like, now we can't even enjoy doing that. So realistically, it's like, oh, y'all don't bang with the Empire? Cool. Because we don't bang with the Empire. And that is another one of those notions of like, that just kind of that rebellion kind of building. So it's a subtle but important nod that just kind of binds that together. Like, oh, we'll help y'all because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I mean, kind of thing. Yeah. But
we head back to Coruscant, I believe, and Vale is trying to get in contact with Luthen. She's trying to get in contact with him, and she comes into.
Hey, how many times subconsciously have you called Slim Lucius?
All the time. All the time.
Lucius.
I always call him Lucius. I never call him Lucius. I do not know why.
Oh, hey, that little slip right there, the snips on you. I was like, oh, nah, I can tell he did that all the time. He was so comfortable. Like, it came out so clean.
Lucius.
Like, I have to force myself to remember to say it the other way. I don't know why. Know why. But Vel tries to go to his little shop, reach out to him, meets Kalea in there, whatever, and is like, I need to talk to him. Now, she comes in off the whole, hey, I'm looking for something, yada, yada, yada. And she's trying to like brush her off a little bit, like, yeah, what are you looking for? And Vel just finally like, look, forget all this. Where is he at? And she's kind of bucking back at her. They have that like trying to assert their dominance in that situation of who they are and what role they play in this rebellion type of deal. I personally enjoyed that banter back and forth between them, trying to just put one in their place. Did y'all enjoy that scene as well?
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
I get that. There's a part of me that feels like Clea feels like she's higher up the chain than like other people. Like the way that she talked to her before, it almost seems like there's maybe a history between the two of them that is like, you know, that first conversation they had when she asked her, you know, have you heard from Cinta or whatever? And she's like, Cinta's doing what she was told to do. You know what I mean? Like, cause I'm a boss, and you know what I mean? Like, you know, I like, and that, you know, assertion of like, I'm right here, I'm Luthen's right hand, you not, you know, whatever, and her being like, yeah, what have you done for Slim lately? And she was like, oh, I gave him Aldani.
I was saying,
I gave him everything. Like, it's a, you know what I mean? Like, there's a thing, and there's a part of me that feels like Clea. I thought Clea was like his wife or something. Like, that was what my assumption was the first time I saw them. As the series has gone on, I've kind of started to see it as like, all right, maybe it's a little different. There does seem to be maybe some sort of a husband-wife dynamic there, but I don't think that's the case.
It's almost like they almost put on the facade that maybe was what they were, and maybe that was kind of like the plan in the beginning. But as things have turned and certain events have unfolded, you know, I don't want to say it's created like a rift. I guess you could say like a rift between the two of them, but clearly, you know, she's telling him
Clea and
Luthen, yeah, like how like when Biggs tried to call him, and you know she's like, no, shut that down. You need to do the right thing. It's like she's trying to do the right thing, but it's creating this little bit of a rift between what the two of them maybe were at a point in time. Luthen said, you know, all those things, my dreams, the ambitions, all that's gone. So maybe that was a part of.
I mean, maybe there's a part of me that like feels like Clea maybe wants to be like Luthen is clearly the leader. Like he's the big dog, right? Everybody kind of reports to him, and he's the only person that seems to know all of what's going on technically. Although, besides Clea, like I could easily believe that there are things that Luthen knows that Clea doesn't. But I feel like she certainly believes that I'm sure she has more information than anybody else does because she kind of helps him, you know, facilitate those things. And so I believe that she believes that she's more important maybe than she is. Like Luthen more and more comes off as the person who's like, yeah, I lead this, but like, man, look, everybody's expensive. You know what I mean? And that includes Clea. And I feel like she feels like she's above that or should be above that because she thinks that she's more important. So like she wants to be able to tell people what to do or, you know, look, maybe she doesn't come from money like somebody like, say, Vel does. And so maybe her reasoning for being involved in what she's doing, her very like, this is what it takes to, you know what I mean, to do the rebellion, to lead this. Like she kind of has that belief, and she also, like the way that she talked to Luthen before kind of gives me the impression that she's like, I don't know if she's trying to impress him or whatever, but she's kind of like, you're getting soft. You know what I mean? Like Luthen, you're getting soft. You know what I mean? You can't do that. You have to stay here, and maybe that's giving her that kind of like, I should be running this because Luthen's not he's not keeping it together, or he's getting sloppy, or whatever it is, which also could be because she does have feelings for him and is afraid that something's going to happen to him. You know what I mean? So a lot of her, like, no, you need to shut that down, shut Ferrex down. We don't need to talk to them anymore. That's done. As correct as it is for the fight, for the battle, it also is safer for what they're doing and for him not getting caught, not getting found out, and so forth, and any worries that she might have. So I think it's a very interesting dynamic that she and Luthen have. And yes, that exchange between she and Vel doesn't seem like she's interested in Luthen to me. I mean, obviously she's interested in Cinta. I mean, that doesn't mean she doesn't like guys, but like obviously she's interested in Cinta. But he did say to her at the very beginning of this, the first time we see her, this is what it takes to lead. Right? So she clearly had been working or something in some capacity. I shouldn't say clearly, but it would appear that she had been working in some capacity for them, but wasn't the leader of a particular mission or something like that. And that particular mission was obviously very important. And so maybe she's kind of feeling some of that herself, but it's kind of just in a flux because nobody's giving her anything to do right now. Like nobody's, all right, well, here's the next thing you're supposed to go do, other than go to Ferrex and kill Cassian, which she can't do because she don't know where he is.
Right.
So she
I
just
think she
kind
doesn't
of
even know if she wants to do it. Yeah, like she's still deciding. Like, is it right to do? Like, he helped us. You know what I'm saying? He was crucial to get us off. He didn't try to steal anything. He didn't do us wrong or anything like that. It's just, okay, he's possibly a loose end and don't kill him. Like, she might be struggling a little bit with that. Like, what am I gonna do when I see him? Like, am I gonna pull the trigger, or am I gonna tell him, you know what, get out of here? Type of, like, I didn't see you. So, so I think there might be a little struggle, you know, with that as well. But after that, we go back into some more of Marva's passing and how people are dealing with it. The house has been cleared out, lights are shut off. Cassian's friend from the beginning, the construction guy, goes in to check on, you know, the droid. Like, all right, little man, everything is shut down. It's time to go. And the droid doesn't want to leave there. He doesn't want to leave his home. He doesn't want to leave Marva. And they have their, you know, like, do you want me to stay here tonight, man? Like, but you got to come home with me, you know, type of deal. And he's like, yeah, I want you to stay. And he seems to be a little happy when he rolls out of the machine, like, you know, you're gonna stay here, you're gonna comfort me tonight. I thought that was pretty cool, especially coming from a droid. You know what I'm saying? Just wanting some closeness and some interaction. Like I felt like he was hurting. You know what I mean? And that was interesting to see through a droid's eyes, I would say. Do y'all agree?
Definitely. I mean, like, we've seen like R2-D2, like any of the droids that have like been within the Star Wars, it looks like they have those emotions and feelings, but I feel like the difference here is the fact that he can actually talk. So those emotions are really conveyed a lot easier. Don't get me wrong, when you hear like R2-D2, you know, getting sad, but what's his name? B2, if I remember right, something like that. It just him being able to talk just makes it that much more. And it's like it seems as he understands that, you know what, she's gone and she's not coming back, but he just can't let go. I mean, it's the same of a human emotion if someone were to pass. And I feel like that's
definitely a different form of AI because he can articulate. Because he can speak. I mean, it's just that we can hear it. It's just that we understand it, right? Because Luke talks to R2, like they talk, like he knows what R2 is saying. Like, you know, Luke speaks droid, bro. Like I don't know how, but okay, you know what I mean? Like, look, Han can't speak Wookiee, but he understands it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, there's a lot of that within this universe it's just that I think for the first, you know, the droids that we're used to hearing speak is C-3PO, who has no wants, no desires, no, like, he just doesn't seem to have, he's a protocol droid. He just does it. He's told he's basically a butler droid. He's not the way an R2 or one of these other droids is, which is more like a pet / child. And any other droid we've ever been introduced to that's like that or is in that form, and I spoke about this in the first episode, has never been able to speak in English. You know what I mean? And articulate that in a way that we could understand it. You kind of could see it, hear it to an extent, but it it is different. It definitely does hit, a bit differently, because as you hear people speaking lines that are about reasoning with the droid is speaking lines back, and you're getting an actual understanding of what the droid is saying, and it's a different. It's different. It makes you care more about B2 than you do about R2. People love R2, but that's because R2 shocks people. You know what I'm saying, or whatever, and it's like ready to put up a fight. But you don't necessarily feel like you don't feel emotion for or really coming from R2, even though you know that R2 does emote. It's not the same. So, it's definitely a different feel, and I think I actually think it's a really smart move for this show to do that and to have a droid that can do that.
Okay, cool. So right after this, we get some information on Bix and what's been going on with her. She is still locked up with the Empire, and they are still torturing and interrogating her. How long do you think this has been going on?
I mean, I don't know what time, days or whatever. I mean, obviously, ever since Cassian's been in prison, at least 30 days, it was a couple weeks that had passed in the one scene, enough time for him to start getting acclimated to everything. So definitely a little bit of time has passed. So as you can tell, I don't want to say she's broken, but clearly you could tell she's having trouble walking. They had to help her, escort her into the room. She's not really vocal. She's not really talking or anything right now. And I don't know if that is I've broken already and I've told you things and I'm just kind of sheltering in, or since we don't know exactly what this interrogation method fully is, I don't know if they're just extracting information out of her without her really truly knowing. But definitely it's been going on for a minute now, though.
James, do you think she's broken, or is she on the edge of being broken?
I don't think she's snitching.
She's keeping quiet.
I think if they broke her and she was snitching, they would already know who Luthen was. The fact that they walked her into this room and showed us Anto Krieger for the first time in this joint was like, is this the man you introduced Andor to? I don't even think she snitched.
They're just trying to grab at those strings.
She's been in that joint for a minute, eating it. Whatever they give her, she's been in that joint eating it. He brought her in the room and was like, if you don't tell me, I'm going to have to bring Slim back. And she was kind of like, come on, dog. You know what I mean? But they haven't. Look, if it was working, they wouldn't be having to continue to threaten her by saying we're going to bring so-and-so back. Now, did she snitch? In this case, I'm going to go with a no. I think she's still not broken. And I think that she has decided she'll die first. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's literally what I think. Because she just, look, I don't know what allegiance she's decided. I know we obviously know she used to date Andor. I don't know what allegiance she decided that. But I also do know that in some manner, more than just kind of running things through Luthen, I believe that she's aware that part of what she's doing has some level of something to do with the rebellion in some manner. And that if she snitches on Luthen, it's gonna be a whole other thing. Now she might have given him Andor if she knew where he was. She don't know where he is. So, it could be that she has for whatever reason, feels a certain way about Luthen and not snitching on him. They asked her when the last time she saw Cassian was. They know he came back and they know he came to see his mother. So they know that much. She gave him that. She might not be trying to protect Cassian. Might just be trying to protect Luthen. Or maybe they just didn't ask the right question. So all of what I'm saying is relevant because they just didn't know it was someone. But I mean, again, we know that they were trying to find out who she put Cassian in contact with.
Yeah.
And we know that she knows who Luthen is because she straight up met him, looked him in his face, and walked with him. Yeah. Yeah. So she knows who he is. You know what I'm saying? Unless he lied to her about who he is. So she could maybe look at the image of Andor Krieger and be like, nah, that's not him.
But that's the name he gave me. Could be, yeah.
Could be. I can't remember whether or not she ever said Luthen's name. I can't remember. I can't remember if in those first episodes if she ever actually said Luthen. I don't think she ever said that.
She did.
I don't think she always said I have a contact.
Yeah.
I know that she met him, so she knows what he looks like, knows who he is, but I mean, not to jump super far ahead, but even like Luthen, just the way he operates is like, I mean, Krieger's seen me, but he don't even
he don't know.
He knows in the room. He don't know he's seen me.
Yeah.
Slim can't do nothing to me. He good. You know what I'm saying? So he's obviously very picky and choosy about who he allows to see him and what they know about him when they see him.
Yes.
There's very few people, Vel clearly being one of them. I need to take a moment just to say, sometimes it's the little things. Parts of what are happening in this show, like anytime they're on Ferrix, everything on Ferrix to me looks like they're on a set. Right? It all just looks like built and whatever. Like it all looks like it's on a set. But Luthen's store, his antique front, that joint has the dopest door I think I've ever seen. Bro. Hey Slim, I don't know what kind of hexaspherical door that joint is, but that joint is clean, bruh. And I just need to take a moment to shout out some set designers or somebody, because a lot of we talk about the show and the actors and what's going on in the story or whatever. But when we're doing Spoiler Boys, it's not very often we really talk about all of the work that goes into making what they're doing believable for us as we watch it, right? We talk about suspension of disbelief and, whatever. And we talk about, like, special effects, you know what I mean, so to speak, right? I'll tell you if I think that CG didn't look good or, whatever. But, like, we don't often really get into the nitty gritty of, like, again, we've talked about, like, Mon Mothma just being fly, bro. Like, all of her outfits just clean, like, from head to toe, dog. Like, there's an award in somebody's future, I'm convinced. You know what I'm saying? For some design and, you know what I mean? Because so much of it is so rough and just kind of so, like, thrown together or whatever. But, like, her stuff is always so fly. But it's not just that. It's also the set. Like, what her home looks like, what his layout looks like, how stuff actually has to operate, like how that door works. Like when she walked over, and maybe it's all CG and there's no actual physical door, I don't know. But like, it's very rare that like I'm watching something like I was watching the joint, and because it's so specific, like she's in the back working, grinding, cleaning stuff or whatever, cleaning antiques. I'm like, I guess they really do sell antiques maybe, because she's really back there like
she's
cleaning
in it. She's
right
in
now.
it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. She back there cleaning, grinding, and it's like she gets like a notification, like somebody's at the door, and she looks up with her attitude that she tends to have, right? And walks around to the front with her little attitude, her little sachet, and hits the button. And when that joint turned, because I'm like, who's at the door? And the joint opens to reveal. I was like, hey, Slim, look at that door. Like that joint, I was like, dang, for real? And when she went back out in the joint, I was like, yo, that's a dope door. I want a door like that. I want to go somewhere that has a door like that. And that's the first time I feel like I don't ever want to go nowhere in Star Wars. Nothing in Star Wars looks inviting to me except for the fake beach they was on when my man got captured the first time.
He got locked up. Which
really just looks like, all right, oceanfront, which is like, you don't really see that a lot, right? That's the first thing everything is cold and metal or disgusting and broken down and used, and everything is just like decrepit, dusty and dirty because we're always on a sand planet or whatever. Like, there's nothing inviting about the Star Wars universe at all, and makes me want, hey, dog, that's not too bad, dog. I'd like to go there. Like, I would look at Wakanda and be like, hey, you know what?
I want to go there.
I would go to Wakanda. Like, I would buy tickets if I could go, and I would go. There's nothing about the Star Wars universe that makes me feel like, yo, I would really love to go. But that door made me go. I don't know why.
You want to go to the door? You're gonna take a trip to the door.
You want to take a trip to Coruscant.
I was like, hey, because, and I don't know if it's just because, again, everything is so cold and so whatever, and everything in Star Wars is always just sliding doors. Like, doors just slide open. Like, whatever the future is, whether it's Star Wars or Star Trek, doors just slide now. We don't open doors. We don't whatever. Either it's just an opening with nothing there, Fred Flintstone joint, you know what I mean? Or they're mechanical sliding doors or whatever. And this joint wasn't that. And it just stood out to me for whatever reason. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fly. I needed that for a moment. You may have your show back, sir.
No, please get it off the chest.
You have been convincingly hijacked. You may have it back.
Hey, it's all good. Get it off your chest. So after this scene, we pivot over to Mon Mothma. She is watching her daughter at a table. She's watching it from another room. They're like having some type of class or maybe some type of ritual thing. I don't know, but she looks a little thrown off by it, like she's not happy of what's going on with her daughter right now, what she's doing. You know, her daughter looks over, you know, gives her like, looks like she's been doing this entire series so far. Vel comes in, starts to have a conversation with her. She sees what's going on, and Vel is thrown off by it as well. Like, hold up, you're letting this happen? Like, we walked away from this. We don't do this
no more.
Yeah, we don't do this. And she wants to get into it with her, but she's kind of still just locked in, like looking at her daughter do whatever it is she's doing. And they decide to go off to the couch, sit, have a conversation, and Mon finally starts spilling the guts to Vel about everything that's been going on financial-wise. We actually get into it and get to learn what's kind of been going on with her and why she needs this money and all sorts. And we find out that, and help me walk through this, you know, like I don't have the best of memories here, but she was using her trust fund money or something like that to funnel funds somewhere.
She was just using the family money. She
Right.
just was like,
Just
she just said
pulling
I was
down,
taking
like-
100. She said I was taking 100,000 a month, every month. I was just taking it, no problem.
Yeah, and she ends up getting word from somebody at her bank, giving a heads up. Hey, look, the Empire's looking into some funny stuff. You may want to go through your books and fix what you got going on there, if you know what I mean. She's like, okay. And as she starts to go through and fix these books, she finds an issue that she cannot fix. And that is this trouble that she's having trying to get this one issue fixed. And that's why she's going through all these, reaching out to these people. Hey, look, I need some help with this. I gotta get this fixed. Well, you gotta figure it out. And now she's reached out to this, as we saw in the last episode, reaching out to this guy that she obviously doesn't want to get in the business in, but the only way to keep from getting arrested and locked up and getting found out is she might have to take this deal with him. And she explained all this to Vel. Vel doesn't look, she looks more concerned about like, okay, I need to help my sister figure this out.
Almost like I didn't know you got like this deep into
Yes.
it. It's like I knew you committed to doing stuff, but I didn't know that you went all in early on in the beginning.
Yeah, so how did y'all feel about the reveal of what she's been doing with this money this whole time and actually considering taking his offer to put their houses together?
I mean, I'm happy that she was able to, talk to somebody else about it, being her sister. But I mean, rightfully so. She should be worried, because she knows what the Empire is capable of. She's trying to do the politics the right way to try to intervene and make things a little bit different. And clearly, it's not working. And she knows that the money being like a small piece of everything is going to be the thing that undoes her. And even though probably in their eyes, like normally like 100,000 like a month, just going away, probably is nothing. Because I mean, if it's the family's money, the family's looking like 100 grand. I don't know if I had that type of money and I saw 100 grand just disappearing every single month, I'm probably throwing up red flags here. Like, hey, it's 100 grand missing. What's going on here? But I guess they just have that type of money. But it possibly opening up, trying to see if maybe there was another result. You know, Aldani's done. I mean, she's got money. I don't know if she has 400 grand. We know she got some bread from the heist. I don't know if she's got that type that she could give to her and say, listen, here. You don't need to get in bed with this guy. But I think even if she was able to give her the money at that point, I think dude's just gonna show up and be like, still, like she gonna tell him, I don't need you, but he gonna be like, we already have an agreement. I'm gonna do something for you. And I feel like she's gonna get caught up still with dude regardless.
Well, they didn't make an agreement.
Well, not a true agreement, but I guess she's gonna get to that point where it's, as of right now, where it stands point, it looks like she's going to have to. And I think he's gonna end up showing back up. And you know, are we ready to do business?
I think the interesting thing about this scene in particular is that when you look at what happened in the last episode, when he makes the suggestion subtly, right? Mm-hmm. She's immediately like, you must be tripping. Slim will see you out. I know you better get out of here. The difference in this scene is the conversation she's having with Vel. Clearly, she and Vel aren't fans of the tradition, right? And that kind of speaks to the relationship that she has with her husband. That, like, it's tradition, but it's like, yeah, I don't love him, like, you know, or whatever, because we just had to, you know, whatever, right? Because that was what the tradition was. But what she makes clear is that it's not her idea. This is something her daughter wants to do. So the ritual, what she's talking about, what she's discussing, the idea of her being betrothed or her having a marriage proposal, like she asked her, are you seriously taking proposals, right? And she says to her, you have no idea how much trouble I'm in. I'm in so much trouble, right? But the interesting thing about it is it's something her daughter wants to do. Mm-hmm. So even though it's something that she doesn't necessarily want to do and she might be against, she's not in a position to really talk her daughter out of it because her daughter wants to. She said to her that her daughter went and found the lady to lead the chant and stuff like that. Like, she went and did that on her own. She said it's literally the only thing she shows up on time for. Everything else she could care less about. And she said to her, it's crazy because it's like more of a big deal here and now to these young people than it is or even was back home. Like, they're not home, but this is a home tradition. So it's like you have these young, it's almost like anything. It's like people now being into music that's from, say, our era, our time, like using samples or doing whatever and being like, yo, that, you know, it's kind of, it's like a cool thing because it's a thing that comes from the past, or maybe because it's a thing that fell out, or maybe it's just a thing that's cool for them because they know their parents don't dig it. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact that it's something her daughter wants to do, it could be as simple as dude shows up with his son and she's like, oh yeah, what's up? It also is like clear that the relationship between her and her mother is a bad one because, so I was under the impression, and we talked about this, that the dude that she kept talking to that's from her home, right, that she kind of talked to try to help her find a way to do something about her this friend, money. Yeah. When he shows up and the daughter's like, you're here a lot, right? I was under the impression that was about her feeling like maybe her mother's cheating or something like that, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what we talked about. However, I'm now under the impression that it's not so much that, it's just that she she knows that he's there. She knows they're friends, but she knows that he's there in a capacity that has to do with her mother's job. And she feels like her mother works too much. You're never here. You miss all the things. You don't know what's important to me. We're not on the same place. Where the father isn't working and he's there. So even if the father isn't close, again, we kind of saw that in an earlier episode where, you know, he doesn't really side or back up the mother because maybe he even feels that a little bit. Like everything is all about work with you. It's always, you know, whatever. And that's where I see her daughter. I see her daughter's mind frame as being like, it's always work. It's always, you know, whatever. For her to actually utilize this thing that she kind of needs to do because she doesn't have a choice would also be her taking a step forward and doing something that is something her daughter wants to do. It would be like her, all right, you like, you know, so-and-so, so we'll go do that thing you like to do. You know what I mean? Kind of thing, even though I'm not into it or I don't understand it, you know, or whatever it is, because she's missing that connection with her daughter. So as foul as it may seem, right, on the undercurrent, her daughter would probably look at it like an olive branch of like, I know I'm working a lot. I know whatever. I know you've taken this interest in this, whatever. I had somebody I'd like you to meet. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. And her daughter might be like, oh, for real? Like, oh, you are. So you are paying attention. You do see the things that matter to me. Or, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit of a different dynamic. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, when she said she was taking $100,000 a month, I was just like, for how long, Slim?
Long
That's
enough.
a lot. But she said she was able to get the money back. She got that call like, yo, they about to be looking into your stuff. And she was able to get all the money back except for this one thing. And that, but she's like, and it's tiny, it's kind of an obscure thing that probably nobody would ever catch, but it is still 400,000, which technically, listen, no, not you, Cat. I know 400,000 sounds like a lot, and they're making it seem like a lot, but I'm gonna be honest, 400,000 almost seems like it might be a drop in the bucket.
Definitely.
She was just taking 100,000 a month like nothing.
That's like going to take $20 out the bank.
Nobody even noticed. They still eating good and going off and doing whatever they doing. Like ain't nobody missing.
And what also not hurt is where that $400,000 go to. Let's say when they start digging into it.
Well, no. Because clearly the money is being spent. Like she knew that she was funneling that money, like for Lucen, for what they're trying to do for their startup or whatever, right? When it got locked up, her not being able to get the money that she used, basically Luthen was using her to fund what he was doing.
Right.
She knew it, but she didn't know to what extent. He says to her, like, yo, I'm having a hard time. I got to get this money. And she's like, yo, they tightening up. I can't get it like I used to get it. All right. I'll find a way. Aldani happens. You understand what I'm saying? Which makes it even worse, right? It's because of what happened. Because she says that to her. She's like, then this Aldani thing happened. Now, she doesn't know that Vel had anything to do with that. She said to her, and there's a look on Vel's face that's like,
my bad, cuz.
You know what I mean? Because for a brief moment, again, the last time they talked, she told her, look, go be a spoiled rich girl. I'm thinking, all right, Vel got money. So maybe she's just going to be like, well, when she was like, how much are we talking? She was like 400,000. There was a part of me that was like, Vel was going to be like,
yeah, I got you. Right.
Not even thinking it was going to come from Aldani, because I don't think she got anything from it. That was going to fund the fight that they're in. I don't think she actually gets any cut of it.
That's true.
However, you know, I mean, she's clearly not hungry. she kind of fly too, man. She got
her own pocket change,
yeah. So I was thinking maybe she was just gonna be like, I can patch some of that for you a little bit, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. We got to find a way to make it look good, but that's kind of where I thought it was going at first. I was kind of expecting her to say, all right, and it still could be that in some manner it goes that way because they got interrupted because the daughter came out and was like, Auntie Val, like, you know, whatever. And so maybe, just maybe, she'll be like, you know, I can, oh yeah, we can make that happen. You don't have to, you know, worry about whatever. That doesn't mean dude doesn't show up out of the blue.
Oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
Like, yeah, what's up? I know you need something. But yeah, I mean, I personally took a lot from that interaction. Like, being a betrothed wife, she's 13, he's 14. She got married. Her mother got married at 14 and was a senator when she was 15.
Let me ask you something about that. Just about a scenario you broke down with the daughter, maybe giving the daughter and the mother, maybe giving the olive branch. We see that, you know, she wants to go through the ceremony and all that kind of stuff, get married. Does mom go ahead and introduce dude's son to her, and does she accept it or turn it away, which makes matters worse?
Well, I think she'll accept it.
She doesn't have somebody else that she might want to, and then gets thrown this other guy in the face, like, I don't like him. I like the guy that I'm interested in, that person type of thing.
Look, the way I look at it is, if she is that, like, into the idea of the tradition, right? The tradition is they put you with somebody. Like, you don't really have, I would say, a say-so, right? I wouldn't think. So, I would, look, it could be she introduces her to Slim, and then she's like, ew, though, you know what I'm saying, or something like that, right? And maybe fit, and you know, look, it's traditional or whatever, but maybe would have some sort of an understanding of like why her mother and father's relationship is the way it is. Like, maybe just immediately everything changes. Like, hold on,
right? Now I get it.
Yeah, because like Slim's not even cute, like, you know what I mean, or something. Like, you know what I mean, like it could get very different, but I don't know. Look, I know that Mon Mothma as a character doesn't technically denounce the Senate and Palpatine and literally just be like, I'm with the Rebel and I'm all about the Rebel Alliance until, like, I think it's like the second season of Rebels. We ain't into that. We're not about to see, like, she technically announces like the Rebel Alliance. We're not gonna see that by the end of this show.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Now, what it could end up being, they do a second season, and how important the daughter could be in some manner to that. Who knows? Because it just depends on whether they do some sort of a time jump or, you know, whatever it is. But I don't really foresee it being a problem. Even if she sees dude and doesn't like him, it could maybe even still bring the mother closer to her. Like, see, now you see what I'm talking about. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Feel me? Like, you know, then maybe that changes things.
Okay.
Who knows?
All right. So let's keep moving on. Next up, we got our boy Cyril back. It's the middle of the night. He is asleep, and mom's coming in true mom's fashion. You know, you got a phone call. Yada yada yada.
You got a phone call.
Yeah. Sound like she was smoking menthos all night. He goes, answer the phone. It's his man, his sergeant from before he got fired. He's at his job, but it's a staticky connection. He's trying to, what's going on? Why you calling me? Like, he's got news, and they go the whole back and forth of trying to establish a connection and give him a piece of information through. And he basically tells him that, hey, I heard Marva passed, Andor's mother. He might be headed back home. He might want to meet him. Of course, Cyril's getting all excited, like, oh, Andor. He's like, oh my God, I gotta go find Andor. And, you know, Bob's just pacing back and forth, trying to listen from the hallway, comes back in the room listening, like,
I hate her, Joe.
I hate her. Oh, I hate her.
So we all agree in that sentiment. And to just stay on what's going on with him a little bit, couple scenes later, we do see that while his mom goes off somewhere, maybe shopping or brunch, whatever, he sneaks back into their house, steals some money out of her pocketbook, pretty much. Like goes into the drawer, steals some money, and
he went into the safe. I don't know if it was her money though.
Well, with the jewelry on top, I figured it was hers. That's what I just figured. Goes get some money, and I think it's pretty obvious that he's gonna make his way back to Andor's home planet to just like everybody else, sit and wait for Andor to show up and try to bring him down. But what's up?
What happens when he gets there and runs into Deidre?
Dog, I'm saying that's exactly what's gonna happen. What are you doing here, Andor? Told you to drop it.
That is a moment we are all looking for because she's already put him on blast like twice. Like, leave it alone, stay away.
She's probably gonna think he's
stop harassing her.
Is he gonna get in the way?
Yes, 1,000% he's gonna get in the way. He might even blow it.
That's what I'm saying.
I feel like they're gonna think he in on it at this point. Like, listen, you getting too close, even more closer to this. There's something like they're gonna start interrogating him. Like, hey, listen, you need to tell me about this stuff that you're not trying to tell us. And he's gonna be like, I'm innocent. And I think that maybe this is what spins him, and maybe he comes over to the prison. I don't know. Maybe that's what pushes him over the edge. Between Mom Dukes and Deidre probably coming at him. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, so we finally catch up with Luthen. See, I had to think about it for a second. I almost said it again.
Lucius!
He goes to meet Saul. And Saul is in full Saul mode, pacing back and forth, getting things together. We're in, we're ready to do this. And Luthen's kind of like, hey, we gotta think about this for a second here. They're having this debate of, do we hang this guy out to dry and sacrifice everybody, or do we sacrifice our like inside man? They're having this kind of like strategic conversation about how to approach this back and forth, and Saul starts getting amped up about everything. Like, you got people everywhere, you got people in my organization, like, why are you trying to back out of this? This is just one man versus everything else. And they're having this intense conversation about the best way to go forward with this plan. What did y'all think of this back and forth between them?
Nah, it was interesting because like Saul, like after that the heated discussion they had the first time, after I guess mulling it over, he came back and he's like, I'm in. Like, there was like no thoughts when Luthen hit the door. He's like, listen, I'm in. And Luthen kind of, I guess he was thinking maybe he wasn't going to be on that page when he got there. And so Luthen's kind of like, how about no? And like after all that has gone down. So I thought their interaction was pretty interesting, especially the fact of Saul asking, what if I was the one that kind of got left hung out there to dry? He was like, so you would do the same thing if I was in that position? And he was like, nah. He was like, you too dangerous, too much. I can't do that. Other dude, expendable, doesn't matter. But I thought that whole engagement, and not to mention actually Sin right before they had their interaction, when Luthen first got there and got to the little blockade before he was approaching, and they started checking my man to see if he had weapons. My man took like the looked like it was part of the walking stick or whatever, his sword or whatever it was, and I was like, oh, that's a lightsaber. I was like, that is a straight up lightsaber.
My man said, put it down and give it back.
I
was like, that was a lightsaber.
That sounded like a threat when he said it. Like, yeah, bro, like,
what?
Don't, like, don't. That was like, don't
like
don't
a
mess
threat
with him right now.
Now it looked like
that was a threat.
It was, and it definitely looked like a relic. Cause it was made of like, it looked like it was made of like wood or something. So one, I don't know if this is like my man got like old.
Hey Joe, I want one, dog. That's all. I want one of them, bro.
That joint is. I was like, oh, that's a saver right there. But yeah, the interaction though between the two of them, definitely I like to see how Saul was really getting into it. Is like, you're not. You pulled the gun on me. He's like, you ain't gonna leave alive out of here if you try this. But Luthen's just like, I just need to get you to listen. I had to do this just to get you to listen. They got heated a little bit, but their interaction definitely started to put them on like the same page. So now, how long that lasts is what we are gonna have to wait and see out. But at least right now, it looks like they are on the same page after everything that went down.
Gage?
Hey dog, this family is incredible. Hey dog, he's incredible, Slim. He went to Saul's house. This is the only thing about this interaction that's had me kind of like, I just want to know why Saul changed his mind.
That quick.
True.
It wasn't that quick.
Well,
what do you mean?
No, he said it took you long enough or something like that. Like
just the way, or I should say, just the way. Like as soon as Luthen just walked in, that joint was just there.
He was on full tilt when he came in. He was
right.
like putting everything together.
What I'm saying, he was like, "I'll take it. I want Krieger. I'll do it. We'll give him air support, but he can't tell me what to do." Like it's like. Here's how it's gonna go. You know what I mean?
It's almost like he walked in and we're already in the middle of having this conversation.
Yeah, but it was for Saul. It was a continuation of the last conversation they had. And I'll take the parts, but I want all the parts, everything you promised. I want to have it. And Bam was just like, no. He thought about it for a brief second, but he didn't. And so then Saul's like, what do you mean no? So, okay, either that means you're ISB,
you the fans,
or you got somebody at the ISB, or something, and he's like, well, dog, I'm not ISB. You know what I mean? He's like, you got people everywhere. And Luther just kind of like, I mean,
kinda,
maybe.
You got someone here?
Maybe. One of my people. Who is it? Like he just, hey, listen. Who is it?
He was going to shoot Luther right there. He can say something.
He wasn't going to shoot him because he wanted to know who it was. And this is the thing about Luther. This is why Luther is incredible, dog. He told Saul, look, Krieger ain't going to make it. The ISB already knows. And it's a setup. He's not going to make it. And he was like, so you just going to let him? It's 30 men. And Krieger.
I know
what I'm saying? And he's like, you just gonna let him. And Krieger doesn't know. He's like, nah. Right? But you can tell in this instance that Luthen is more beat up about it than he let the other dude know. Yeah. In front of the other dude, and at the end of the last episode,
he kept up that.
He really had to play it chill, like, yeah, it's worth it. Like, it's, you know what I mean? You worth more than, and listen, when he said it was 50 men, in the last episode, dude was like, it's 50 men. And he was like, yeah, but it's 50 men that are expendable. You're worth more than 50 men. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And he just played it cool. Like, but talking to Saul, he kind of knew what he was having to admit to Saul in that moment. And he really don't want to lose Krieger.
Right.
But he kind of has to. Right? Because if he does try to do something or put him on, then the ISB is going to get, and he needed, so what he needed for Saul to get that paranoid. Mm-hmm. Who is it? So he was just like, it's Tutu. He was like, what? Hey, so, and Tutu was like, hold tight. Hey, Slim,
I only report to one dude.
Hey, nah, Saul, Slim lying, right? And for a brief moment, like, I don't know if he's lying or not. And he might not have been lying. But when he pulls the gun, he's like, listen, I needed you to get this amped up, because if you show up, if he doesn't get caught up in this, then they're going to get way more paranoid, and they're going to be looking at everything and looking into everything the same way you are right now. If they pull this off, they still think that they, look what we did. They think they so blah, 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 whatever. And as far as they're concerned, like, it's done. And so Saul's like, so So for the greater good. He's like,
Whatever
if that's
wanna
what you
call
want to call it. You know what I mean? Like,
we call it war.
and that to me signifies, okay, it's official now, right? Because Saul, I think, we've always seen portrayed as somebody who's willing to do whatever it takes, and people are expendable, and that's just what happens. That's the way we saw him in Andor. That's the way he's been presented to us. Right then and there, to me, that necessity of this is war and this is what it takes, there will be casualties, and some of those casualties have to happen, is a notion he got from Luthen. It's always been portrayed to us as that's just Saul's way. That's just how he is, right? Saul's like, I don't work with nobody. I work on my own. Well, clearly you got a camp full of people, so you clearly don't work on your own. You know what I'm saying? But like, it really does kind of elevate Luthen. You know what I'm saying? To a level of, again, Luthen's like, I'm this mysterious dude, whatever, who's never gonna get credit for the amount of work and effort and time that I put in to make sure that this rebellion can even happen. Right? It just, I'm not gonna get that credit. So I have to give all of that up, right? And so you're really seeing that. And it was like he had to do what he had to do because he knew that was the only way he could talk Saul down and he could convince him that as much as he didn't want to do it, that's the way it had to be. So that's the way it had to be. And Saul agreed with him. And now that mentality of like, yep, because it's war. Yeah. And we're at war.
Everybody's not going to make it.
Whether they know it or not yet, it's official now. We're at war. This choice to let Anto Krieger and his people die in sacrifice when you know it's a setup is a calculated decision about the war that's being waged, whether people know it's happening now or not. This is the act that will make it official. So it is that, no, we're not going to see the technical establishment of the Rebel Alliance.
Right.
We are technically seeing the kickoff of the
war on the Empire.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, it's an incredible moment. And the two of them back and forth together is like, they just like, I love what he's doing with Luthen as a character, and like Saul just is what Saul is. You know what I'm saying? But
no, they play.
Hey, listen, it make me wonder what kind of conversation Saul had with Two Tubes after Luthen.
When he left out of there. So, are you helping him? Are you feeding him information about her?
I've never talked to that dude before.
Hey, dog, I ain't seen. So I only ever seen Slim when he come here to see you, Saul, for real. Like, that's it. And Saul,
you lying to me? You lying to me?
Stop it, dog. Stop it, dog. Because you look more like Augur from the Dark Crystal than Saul the World when you get that. And I can't even. And I don't even know if you know who that is. I smell Gelfling.
Hey, all right.
It's still Frank Oz, bro. It's all the same.
Hey, can we talk about probably one of the best ships in Star Wars, bro?
I need that
joint.
Dog.
Woo!
Hey, dog, he has the best joint.
Yeah,
I'm not even sure. Millennium Falcon just like lost the notch to me.
We might have to redo rankings on this one. To get y'all to know what we're talking about, Luthen is flying. The boys hit him up. Big Star Destroyer behind him with the satellites and everything on it.
Hey, Slim.
I don't know what type of Star
Destroyer. Can I just tell you for a second, dog? Hey, this dude was having a conversation with her, with Clea, and the joint started messing up, and I said, hey, dog, they eavesdropping. I was like, yo, and them joints speaking like, what?
Yeah.
And I said, oh, they listening.
Yeah, they can hear the whole planet with them things.
No, I thought it was a normal. When it first started, I was like, oh, this is a real Star Destroyer. And this joke came up with the giant satellites, and I'm like, oh.
I'm telling you, with them satellites, they can hear the entire planet from up there.
My dude, they're getting stations from all across the galaxy.
But listen, those joints were the tractor beam.
Yeah. Yeah, we found out. Yeah.
But I'm thinking, hey, dog, they listening to everything. How is any messages getting past these
Don't intercept everything coming off that
you
plane.
kidding me? Yeah. That joint's crazy.
They try to, pull him over. Who are you? What you doing out here? What's your ID code? And he's getting into his. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sending it right over. He's playing the role like he does. Ask the AI on the ship. Get that code, get what I need, sending it over to him. Cool. He's checking, make sure everything's clear. The Empire's kind of iffy on what's going on. Like something just doesn't feel right. Luthen being him, he just starts getting stuff prepped on the ship just in case. He's got to get low. When not feeling right, they want him to pull over. They want to go on, check his ship. I'm having engine trouble. I'm sorry. I'm just a one man, guy here. He's set up the one engine.
He also might have he also has the best droid. His ship droid is a monster, dog. His ship AI is like,
give me the right code.
Mass Effect right now.
They prepare the countermeasures. It's like send them Jones up. Like
yeah. They were trying to hit him with the tractor, beam, pull him in. Nope, countermeasures for that. I'm gonna shoot these needle-looking whatever things out the back of this thing and shred that tractor beam.
When that joint popped the first time, I thought it was like a wave. It was like a wave. I thought it was just gonna disrupt like the tractor beam or something. But then
me too, dog. Like, I thought it was like additional thrusters, like that they couldn't see. That my man was just gonna pull off from that joint.
And then that joint turned around, and then we just saw things like start dispersing, and then we just saw like the satellite just started. I was like, oh,
yeah, destroyed that satellite.
What else you got hidden up in there?
And you know what, Jokes? We found out what else he had hidden up in there.
My man got lightsabers.
Pretty much.
My man hit the dual barrel roll
and sliced up those X-Wings, those TIE fighters. Oh my God.
TIE fighters and that TIE bomber. I tell you, my man was so chill with it too. Like everything was calculated in there.
Yes.
Like
the look on their faces when he hyper drove out of there.
Hey, listen, dude that was standing at the at the captain, like in the bridge, looking through the thing, I just see like, oh, I'm in trouble.
My man literally was just going like, he was shaking his head like, nah.
That didn't just happen. That really didn't just happen. For a second, I was worried at the beginning because we were talking about the last episode, like how Luke's not going to make it through this. You know what I'm saying? So when he first got hit and put over, I was like, this is going to be the moment. They're going to catch him slipping right here and get him. But now the first I went on, I was like, hey, now he got y'all number out here.
Me too, dog. I'm like, hey, dog. Luthen is incredible, dog.
Like, he going to make your earnings.
He got low.
Oh, yeah, he out of here.
Hey, look. I'm going to tell you right now. So his ship is called the Fondor.
Okay.
And so while we were talking about that, I just looked up like Luthen's ship, right? Screen Rant has an article that was published 3 hours ago that says Luthen's ship. The title of the article is Luthen's ship destroys the Millennium Falcon.
Hey, look, I can't argue with it. Yes, I have a love for the
right
Millennium
now.
Falcon,
I can't argue
but
with that.
Luthen's ship is I'm sorry, running things out here right now.
Hey, dog, let me tell you something. I was in this joint like, hey, dog, you better pilot that joint, bruh. He was getting it.
Yes.
TIE fighter stood no chance.
Extra blaster shields came up and everything. I'm like, hey, this dude is a beast. This ship
that
is
joint sick, dog. Hey, that joint sick, dog. His modifications, bruh. They was like on a whatever class ship. Hey, dog. Yes.
Put it in a game so that we can fly it.
Tuck away.
No, that joint go in squadrons. If they decide to do an update,
I don't care. Give it to me in some game so I can fly that specific ship and use it.
All I need is for somebody to modify like an old joint from like the GameCube.
Rogue One?
Yeah, like let me
Rogue Squadron.
like Rogue Squadron.
Squadron. Yeah. Rogue Squadron is clean.
I could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So to close this out, we come to pretty much the final scene. Cassian Andor decides to call back in. He's back at the planet where he got picked up from. He snuck back into the place that he was at with the lady, trying to steal his stash from. He's quiet not to wake up the person who's now occupying the room. He gets his stash. He gets out. He calls back into his home planet, speaks to the communication guy that we've seen before, and he's just trying to give word to Marva that, hey, I'm good. I'm safe. I'm making you proud. And man keeps saying, hey, Cass, that you? Don't say my name. Like, they're listening. Don't
no
say
names.
Okay, but I need you to tell Mom this. But Cass, bro, stop.
No names.
My name. No names. And finally, he's able to calm Andor down for a second to tell him that Marva has indeed passed. And of course, he gets quiet, hangs up the phone. He goes to his man. Pretty much. Hope we weren't the only ones that made it. Yeah, we know people died, but we got to get the word out what's happening there. It'll be easy to do that if we split up and go our separate ways. So, they embrace each other, shake hands, give hugs, and go their separate ways. And Andor just kind of stand there, just looking out, obviously thinking about the news he just got. How did y'all think about how they close out the episode?
Getting him that news. He didn't tell him about a funeral, nothing, obviously, but I think that's just going to deepen Andor's.
I have told him. We just didn't hear it.
Just don't say here. This is probably going to deepen Andor's position on probably actually really being a part of taking down the Empire. Now, not saying necessarily that they killed her, but I feel like her passing and knowing what she stood for, like she didn't want to leave. Like even though he had the money, it was like, listen, we can go anywhere that we want right now. And she's like, nope, I've done my bid. I'm staying here. I feel like this is just going to cement him wanting to be more of a part of the rebellion in the way that it's going to come out to be.
Before I ask Gage, just of what you said, I think what'll fan that flame from him, not necessarily the news of what happened, but him going back and seeing them probably disrupting her funeral. You know what I'm saying? Like disrespecting it in that way. However it all pans and turns out, I think that might be what sets him off more so down that path to fight for the rebellion against the Empire. What about you, Gage?
I think as far as the last scene goes, I think it was really interesting that Andor chose not to tell Melshi that his mother died. Like he asked him, like, did you get in contact with him? He's just like, yeah, and he's like, everything good? And he was like, yep, everything's good. So he didn't. I just found that interesting that he didn't bother to say. He didn't allow himself to get overwhelmed. He didn't say, I got to go back home, or I got to, you know what I mean? Whatever. He just, and you don't really know what their plans are, but in that moment, Melshi's like, yo, we have to let people know what's going on here. People have no idea what happened to us. People have no idea what's going on there, what they're doing, what the Empire is up to. We have to tell people. And he's like, we have to split up. We have to split up and double our chances so we don't get caught somewhere together so that we can get the word out there. And as he's saying it, and Andor's like, yep, we do. Where previously, Andor was of a mindset that was more like, I'm trying to lay low and get off the grid and not be, whatever. But I think after what has happened to him with the jail time, with all of what's going on, he knows the Empire's not going away, and no matter where he goes, it's going to continue to get worse.
They're going to be there,
right? That even who knows what kind of conversations they may have had with the two guys that helped them get off of the planet where they were held prisoner. But again, just in the brief conversation we did see while they were trapped, it was like, we hate the Empire, man. They came here and like, now we can't even just go fishing, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, our water is dirty, and they don't care, you know what I mean, or whatever. So, there's that. Plus, what's happening at the prison, and the fact that when he contacted home, the message he wanted to give to Marva was, she would be proud of me. Mm-hmm. Proud for what? Because I'm rebelling. Because all she wants to do is do the rebellion thing. Yeah. And after what I just pulled, like they had me in jail, I led a full revolt. Like I led a full-scale revolt and broke thousands of people out of a secret, Empire-run prison camp. Where it's kind of like, you got to think about it for a second. They told him that previously, what he did would have been a 6-month sentence, and now it's 6 years. Doesn't even matter if it would have been a 6-month sentence if he had gotten sent there and they wasn't going to let him out anyway.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and maybe where they chose to send him changed or something like that. But like, when you really think about it, it's kind of like, even with lighter sentences, they were still doing this to people. How long have these guys been here going through what they're going through here? How long has this been happening under everybody's nose and literally nobody knows about it? Everybody just thinks, even the people who are willing to accept what the Empire is doing, you start to see what Luthen's up to. You start to see why they're really doing what it is. And the fact that his mindset was, Mom, you would be proud of me, right? Says is more eye-opening to me than even like I'll go there and I'll see them do something that makes me feel like I need to be more part of it. He's already in it. You know what I mean? Like he's already revolting. He's already rebelling. He's already leading people, right? Led people, right? But to hear them talk and be like, how many people you think made it? You think anybody made it? What if it's just us, right? If it's just us, somebody else has to go out here and spread this message. I don't know how you go spread the message. Hey, we got locked up, y'all. Like, I don't know how you
we got locked up.
I got locked up on the fake name too. But you know, the fact that he and Melchior like, yeah, we gotta split up. And he's like, here, take this pistol, bro. Go do what you gotta do. And that led me to believe, okay, well, now that I know that they're splitting up, I think that gives him carte blanche to be like, well, I'm going back to Ferris. I know I had no business going back to Ferris. But I'm going back to Ferris.
Yeah, he's coming home.
Yeah. And I think his droid is going to snitch on him. I think that droid
like just thinking about that, it just sounds so
like, it's his fault. Like he gonna say, "Hey, this is all your
Cassian.
fault." Like, yell that. What? Yeah. What? Do we hear Cassian name?
Yeah.
Like, shut up.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was. I think it's honest. It's probably the best close that they've had for any episode.
All right. So as we round this thing out, y'all know how we like to end this. Everybody who's listening and watching. Are we still at our scores for this episode? Jokes?
I'm still at an 8.
I'm gonna stay at my 7.
Okay. I'm at an 8. Went from 7 to 8 after our discussion. Hopefully that makes you happy, Cuddy. So with that, everybody.
Listen, it might, but he gonna come for jokes, bro.
It wasn't a 5 or a 6, so it ain't as bad as sin is.
Right, but
hey, it is what it is. You know.
Yeah.
This was Spoiler Boys Andor episode 11. Y'all will see us back here same time next week for the finale. So hope y'all excited about it. I know we are. Seeing how this all can come to a close. So until then, we will catch you later. Deuces.
Loading snacks.